Hey guys, what is going on? Paragon here. It is Friday and Zero is almost here. But what I thought I would do is I'm going to start a new series helping you guys learn how to build your characters and understand what some of the best ways to build are, understand gear optimization, and go through a couple of tips to help you guys really get the most out of your subclasses. So we're going to start with probably what is my favorite subclass and class in the game, the Hunter with Nightstalker. So this class and this build is going to be focused heavily on support, and that doesn't mean that we can't pull off some good damage and that we can't do some really awesome things with our abilities. It just means that this class overall is going to really benefit our allies and your whole strike team or raid team as a whole. So this is going to be our PvE build for the Nightstalker. So let's have a look at the perks and some of our options straight up. So our grenades, we have Spike Grenade, Void Wall, and Vortex. Now, all three of these are viable options. Great grenades, they all do the same thing and have zoning. I usually run with Void Wall or Vortex, but I sometimes use Spike. For me personally, Void Wall is my favorite. They all have sustained damage and they can zone enemies, but Void Wall has that quick little burst at the start, and I find it does cover a larger area, which is definitely helpful, especially on the raid. For most of those encounters where you've got to keep those thralls off you and other enemies, it does help out a lot. So for our jump, we definitely go for triple jump. For me personally, I find this jump is just makes the Hunter shine, and it gives you so many options for dodging enemies, making plays off platforms, all sorts of cool things. So our super, Shadow Shot. Now tethering foes with our Void Anchor is going to slow, weaken, and suppress. Remember that this super will suppress. So you have two options. You can run Bloodbound or Black Hole. I usually run with Bloodbound when there's trash mobs or smaller enemies, because this is going to help me blow up big groups. Couple this with a rocket launcher or a Nova Bomb or someone else's super. We had a couple of times where we tethered enemies with my Bloodbound, and we had another Hunter with a Celestial Nighthawk, and you just obliterate the whole group. Really good if you've got good communication with your team. Black Hole, excellent for bosses, but also for trash as well, because the tethers will last longer and you can suppress more enemies at a bigger range. So your bow has a huge impact and makes a big difference there. Quiver is great. At the moment it's disabled, but for us as Nightstalkers, the tether is what is strong about this class, not the actual damage from the bow. The damage is pretty ordinary compared to every other super in the game. So the 3 shots is by no means an upgrade or helpful in PvE. Much better for PvP. So our melee ability is our Smoke. I run with Vanish in Smoke. Now, this is definitely a personal preference for me. It just gives me so much survivability. Lets me help my teammates, helps me when I'm in danger, and is really, really good. Envenomed is also good, but you lose that agility that you get from Vanish in Smoke, and you also lose that invis. But having that disorientation on your enemies is still strong. So it's a good option as well. Now, I build my Hunter with maximum armor and agility. For me personally, that's just how I enjoy playing the Hunter. I would prefer to not be there when I'm getting hit, get out of the way, use the agility to move, and have the armor to take the hit. And my recovery, for me, I feel the way I play Hunter is fairly irrelevant. For you, you might work better with a higher recovery build. So when it comes to how you build armor, recovery, and agility, that's personal preference for you. For me, this is how I enjoy playing Hunter. PvE, PvP, I have the exact same armor and agility and recovery every time. That's what works for me. So now, we can have Courage of the Pack or Light of the Pack. I strongly recommend, if you have one Nightstalker in the group, run Light of the Pack. This is going to make you an orb machine. You will just be busting out orbs anytime you super, and this is going to help you indirectly, because giving your teammates more super means they can get their supers out more frequently, giving you more orbs as well, allowing you to tether more enemies more frequently. Courage of the Pack is a great choice if you have 2 Nightstalkers. So the armor and recovery boost is good. Make sure you're getting the kills while the tether is up, and it's going to be very, very beneficial. Again, this is going to do with our armor and our agility, but our last tree, I picked Keen Scout. Now the reason I picked Keen Scout is because I have the Graviton Forfeit. If you don't have Graviton Forfeit, Shade Step is a must. Shade Step is what makes Nightstalker just shine. It is such a great ability for dodging, for evading, for staying out of danger, and I've lost count of how many times it saved me and really helps out big time. But Keen Scout for me, being able to move faster, have more movement speed while invisible, and the enhanced tracker is very, very beneficial, even in PvE. Do not discount this ability. It's really, really good for if you look at the raid, if you shoot your knight and you lose line of sight, you still have the marker on that knight, you know exactly where he is. So let's look at how to optimize this build. Number one, you are going to need to stack intellect. As much intellect as you possibly can without going over the cap. So the whole idea of this build is to have your super as frequently as possible and generate as many orbs for your allies, and also get tethers on the battlefield as frequently as you can. So high intellect is a must. For me, I then stack discipline after that, and then strength. So I try to go for a little bit of both. I like having the strength for the utility of more smoke bombs, but having that higher discipline for me is a little bit more valuable because of the zoning potential of the Nighstalker's grenades. So intellect first, try and get some discipline and a little bit of strength there, but make sure that intellect is as high as you can get it. So our exotic, like I said before, is going to be Graviton Forfeit. If you do not have this item, another great option for you to run with is the Sealed Ahamkara Grasps. So this is going to give you 2 charges for your melee. So 2 invis grenades, which will be very, very beneficial for you and your team. So that's not a bad choice as well. Just remember, if you run that, run Shade Step instead of running Keen Scout, because you do not have the Graviton Forfeit to give you the free Shade Step. A couple of weapons that synergize really well with this build are going to be Bad Juju and Zalo Supercell. For this build, getting the extra super energy is going to help us out a lot. Remember, the whole purpose of this build is to get as many orbs and as many tethers as possible. Both these guns with kills are going to boost our super energy gain and help our team out big time. Now, if you're running Bloodbound, I strongly recommend that you run a rocket launcher. If you get that tether out, throw a grenade, throw your rocket, you will be surprised at how quickly you can drop full mobs of yellows just with that combination, even a heavy machine gun or your sniper rifle. So the weapon choice is up to you, but Bad Juju would be my preference for helping build this and get that super up more frequently. So let's have a look at our strengths and our weaknesses of this subclass build. Now, our strengths: high orb generation through our super. Our super benefits the whole team and lasts a long time. So we're able to zone enemies, we're able to feed our allies their super, and we're also able to lock down high value targets. This class has great survivability. Through the invisibility through Vanishing Smoke and Shade Step, this class has a great amount of skills to help you stay alive, and having the ability to suppress and tether enemies just really puts the icing on the cake. The last thing for our strengths is strong zone control. With our tether and with the nature of the Nightstalker's grenades, you are able to block off zones or keep adds from getting to any high value targets on your team, or to alleviate any pressure that adds might have. Now, if we look at weaknesses, I could really only find one weakness to this subclass, and that was burst damage. There's nothing in this subclass that gives you strong burst besides having Bloodbound with a rocket launcher, but everything else about this class is sustained damage, zone control, and helping your allies, giving damage buffs, giving armor and recovery buffs, and helping your allies get their orbs. So let's look at a couple of tips while you're playing this subclass to get the most out of it. Number one, Shadow Shot carries your momentum. So be mindful, if you're jumping in the air and you use Shadow Shot, your character will continue to move in the direction that you are going. Be mindful that you will continue to move forward, so you might land in a spot you don't want to if you're not ready for that. Save Shadow Shot for when it counts. Make sure you have it ready for large groups of adds, or when you can maximize your team's ability to utilize that tether. You want that tether to be used by your teammates. You by yourself will not be able to get the maximum effect. Using tether on the boss, super important. It's going to increase your whole team's damage. Using it on large groups of adds or high value targets, locking them down, making it easier for your team to kill them. Your smoke bomb works on allies as well. So if you see an ally in trouble, call out you're throwing a Vanishing Smoke at them, and you can save them as well, not just yourself. So remember that. use your grenades preemptively. As with any zone control or AoE abilities, using them to stop enemies from getting to you is the most effective way to use them, so be preemptive with your grenades. And the last one, try to combo your super with other supers or high damage abilities. So things like Fist of Havoc, Nova Bomb, and Golden Gun, it's great for you to communicate with your team and get ready. Even Hammer of Soul, if you can get that AoE from the hammers and the tether on at once, you'll be surprised how much damage you can put out. Rocket launchers, snipers, any heavy, anything that's going to put out a large amount of burst damage, communicate with your team and make sure you capitalize on your tethers. So guys, that's all for this video. Leave a comment below and let me know what you guys want to see me cover next, and make sure you like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.